Hello, my name is Ramir Nathaniel Mismanos Pablo. Today I'll be explaining my vending machine code for Codelab Assessment 2. I am Year 1 Cybersecurity, Ultra Minerva. I am not a study lab student. Now to go over a quick briefing, we'll be going over our code from top to bottom. As you can see here, I will try not to move my mouse as much so you don't get distracted. My instructor or teacher is Sir Febin, so if you are watching this, sir, good day to you. So we will start with explaining our vending machine code from the first line. As you can see, import time here, the first line of code imports the time library into our specific Python code. The function for this is to add the sleep command, which intentionally adds a delay to the code process, as this will be used later for realism. Now, as you can see here in our second line of code imports another library, as you can see from the color, which is the datetime library, into our specific Python code. The function of this code is to add the current date and the current time inside our code, available to display, which will be used later. Our third line of code, which is in the fifth line, as you can see here, does a try command. This is to allow the program to run a specific line of code before proceeding to the actual code. Now, what is this trying to do exactly? It's trying to execute this line of code. Now, what is this line of code exactly? So on our sixth line of code, which is over here, our sixth line of code tries to import the py-figlet library. This library is for ASII title art, or text, or in other words, aesthetic amplifications for the word font. So our seventh line here of code creates the ASCII title and putting the py-figlet font into the title variable. Our eighth line of code, which is here, is a module not found error. What this does, or what this is a form of defensive coding. The reason for the try command is that unlike the time and datetime libraries, the py-figlet library does not come pre-installed inside Python. This command depends on whether the computer is being run on has the py-figlet library installed. If it's not, then the command has to fall back to the module not found error, and it's sort of a failsafe to prevent the code from crashing if there is no py-figlet library in Python. Moving to our 10th line, I'll highlight here. This is simply this activates let's say there is no py-figlet, right? Py-figlet library does not exist in the computer this code is running on, so then it will fall back to the regular vending machine. As stated here, this is just a basic variable. Moving down to our 13th line of code and 15th line of code. These just print an aesthetic line to display, as you can see here. But let us focus on this, since this is the variable. This title variable simply just prints the vending machine. It's very simple. Now moving to the 18th line of code, I will highlight it here. The 18th line of code pulls from the datetime library we installed earlier, in which this line of code gets the current system date and time. So as you can see here, this is the format, DDMMY format. Meanwhile, our 20th line of code, I will highlight here, displays the current time in the system in the format of HHMMSS format, or for closure, it is hours, minutes, and seconds. This just prints a space to make some space when you are running the code. You want to put some spaces in how you want the aesthetic to be, and this is how you do that. Moving on to the 21st line of code. This is the 21st. Okay. Moving on to our 25th line of code, which is moving to our dictionary here. The 25th line of code is a dictionary inside a dictionary, as you can see here. The dictionary stores the code number of the product, name of the product, and the price of the product, which is a float instead of an integer, if you notice that. This is to accommodate the real world change. This is where the vending machines will pull the items from for the customers. There is a total of 50 items, 25 drinks, and 25 snacks split half. So as you can see, these are categories, drink and snacks, 2 categories here. And all of these store the name, Pringles, and the price in floats, as you can see, from 4.5, 4.0, and as such. Moving to our 83rd line, which is right here. and just prints the available items, showing you all the available items. For our 87th line of code, this line of code uses a for loop to iterate through each category inside the dictionary, such as the drinks and snacks earlier that I showed, allowing the program to access and display all 50 items grouped by the category. This is why we print this, because we're going to be showing all the items that are presented or in the categories. Moving on to our 91st line of code. This line of code just loops through each item, which is the beginning of, if you can see here, these are the numbers that are assigned to each item. It just loops through them. So moving on to our 92nd here. Our 92nd line of code. This line of code accesses the dictionaries by selecting the category and then retrieving the specific item using the item code it's assigned. Our 93rd line of code stores the selected item's price from the dictionary into variables so it can be used later for the change, calculation, and payment comparison. So as you can see here in our 93rd line, this is how it's going to be, this is going to be used for the change calculation and the payment comparison later on in the code. So in our 94th line of code, this simply prints a space. So when you run it, there's going to be a space like earlier. Moving on to our 98th line of code. This line of code uses a conditional statement. This is what you call a conditional statement to check whether the user wants to continue using the vending machine. This program controls whether the program loops to recontinue its process or breaks and ends the process. Our 99th, where is it? 99th, I placed some notes. Our 99th very well, again, uses a try command. And the 100th line of code asks the users to enter an item code, with their response strictly being an integer, as you can see here. Now, we're asking the person or the user to define which one they want from the list of categories, which is why we are asking this in the 99th line of code here. From the try, but we are doing it in the 101th line of code. In the 102nd line, just right here, this line of code I used is to track if the item the user puts is existing inside the dictionary. So of course you need to also add some defensive coding if it is not inside the dictionary and someone places maybe 51. You have to make some code for that. And this is how you track if the item exists, right? In our 105th line of code, this line of code searches for the selected code that was given by the user in all the categories inside the dictionary, in which this is two categories. And it searches in the categories for the items and makes a condition statement saying if the choice is in items in the category, it will put the selected item as the choice and mark it found or true. Now moving on to our 110th line, pretty sure. Let me see here. Yeah, as you can see, 110th line. This line of code is an extension of the previous code. Once the code is essentially found, it will execute the 111th line of the code. Moving on to 111th line of code. This code prints and shows the users what they have chosen. It basically just shows the name of the product to the user. Now for our 112th line of code, I will highlight it here. This line of code asks the users to insert the money needed to buy the items. It asks the users to enter a float. There's a difference between integer and float, but I will not continue with that. Meaning the entry of money allows the user to put 1.5, as example, maybe 4.5 or 4.25 instead of just integer. Again, this is to accommodate for real-world use, as Dubai uses 25 fils and 50 fils, so I'm using that as a reference. Our 117th line over here, as you can see, this line of code just processes the change. If the money is greater than the price, as you can see, equal to equal, that's over here. If the money is greater than the price, which is from this thing right here, it will take the change by deducting money by price, as you can see here. Our 119th code simply prints the order it's processing. So I will just highlight it in here. Yeah, this is just a print. Now this is where one of the time libraries, I remember the time library we imported into our code earlier. This is where we start using it. Now what this code essentially does is, since we're finally making use of the time library imported in the code earlier, this uses the time sleep command, making the command wait intentionally for 1 second. So I'm gonna say intentionally because this is not an error in the code. If it's stalling, this is an intentional thing that I have done inside the code. The 121th line of code simply prints and asks the users to take the item that has been processed. So just basic over here. Meanwhile, the 122nd line of code prints and shows the change to the user, processing it by using the round change comma 2. Yeah, basically. 122nd, this code right here. Moving on to our next code, the 124th line of code. Sorry if I'm hopping, since there are spaces, I'm trying to keep track with the number or line of code. Moving on to the 124th line of code. This makes another condition statement. If the money given is equal, as you can see from the sign here, equal to the price of the item, it will execute the commands below. So what are the commands below? The 125th line, that's where it leads us. The code simply prints that the item is processing, a command to make it more realistic. And again, as you can see here, the use of the time library in the 126th line of code makes use of the time library, and it delays the command intentionally, again by 1 second, using the time.sleep command. Just another reminder, this is only possible due to the time library import. Without the time library import, this would not be able to work. Now moving on to the 127th line of code, this prints and asks the users to take their item from the vending machine, which is a simple print statement. Our 129th line of code uses another condition statement in which, if the user does not have enough money, it will print that there is not enough money to complete the chosen transaction. Our 132nd line of code uses another condition statement, and it is used only if the user inputs an integer for the code, but that code is not inside the dictionary. So above 50 or maybe -0, which does not make sense to the system. Thus, we have to make another condition statement, right? So the user must only input integer. Moving on to our 135th line of code, this uses another form of defensive coding. It is used when the user does not input an integer and instead uses vowels, letters, and it results in a value error issue. It will only print and tell the user to enter numbers only. Now our 140th line of code asks the users, as you can see, asks the users for a yes or no question, whether they want to continue the program or not. And this command right here, which is the dot lower and parenthesis, is used to accommodate any type of yes. So if you were to put a yes but a capital in the middle, it will accommodate that. And such, if you use all capital, it will still work. As long as you put a yes, it will convert all your words into a lower capital, and it will accept your yes input. The 142nd line of code uses another conditional statement, again in our code, and it is when the user accepts and types yes, it will then loop back to the beginning so the user can start over and order the next item they want. The 143rd line of code is when the user does not continue the program. It just prints a message and greets the user for using the vending machine. Now, finally, our 143rd line of code, this would be our last line of code. This line of code just breaks the loop from continuing and stops the program entirely. As you can see, the break command here just breaks the loop and stops the command, and you'd have to run it again from the system in order for it to work unless you loop it. So that is essentially our code, the vending machine code. My name is Rumina Tanyamos Manas Pablo. I am from Cybersecurity Year 1. If Sir Feben is watching this, thank you so much for teaching this class. I've learned a great deal of knowledge, and I owe it all to you. And for the UK examiners, hello from Dubai. Wish you happy grading.